Welcome, I'm Jean and this is Fun with Code. Thanks for joining me. We'll be building up a visualization using HTML canvas and some JavaScript. If you see links like this one, don't worry, I'll put all the links in the video description. Add a canvas tag to your HTML with any ID you like. Then in the JavaScript code, get a handle in that canvas tag. On line 1 we reference the tag by ID Doodle as we specified in the HTML. On lines 3 and 4 we give the canvas the same width and height as the browser window. On line 6 we get the 2D canvas context, which we'll be giving our draw commands. What other context types are there? There's WebGL and WebGL2 if you want to make 3D visualizations. There's also bitmap renderer, but that's something completely different. For our purposes 2D will suffice. Here we tell the canvas to use 10 pixels for line width. On line 2 we set up the stroke style. The way HSLA works is that you can think of it as a color wheel. The first parameter is the degrees with 0 being red and 180 cyan as per this example. 360 turns red again, and at 360 plus 180 it will be cyan again. You can just go around the circle forever. From line 3 onwards we tell the canvas that we're interested in drawing a line, otherwise known as a path. The path starts at 0, 0 and we draw a line to 200, 200. There are many free tools out there that hides the canvas API from you, for example Free.js and D3.js. This list is not exhaustive, but these are just a couple of my favorites. Where were we? Oh yes, let's draw that line. Here's our line running from 0, 0 in the top left to 200, 200 in the bottom right, and it's colored cyan, which corresponds to 180 degrees on the color wheel. Let's tag another line onto the existing one. We'll be left with an arm that has an elbow at x200, y200. A static little arm on the screen, however, is quite boring. It's doing nothing, just sitting there. With request animation frame, we're asking the browser to call our callback before it repaints. Our callback is called step. The browser typically repaints at 60 frames per second, which is why we'll be seeing a nice smooth animation in a bit. Here you can see step asking the browser to recursively call step again, effectively creating a loop. Also on line 3, before every repaint, we're instructing the canvas to clear everything in the bounding box starting at 0, 0 in the top left, all the way down to the bottom right hand corner. That is so we're not drawing over things we drew in the previous frame. We're not quite done yet. On line 8 we will start HSL 80, which is red, and we'll cycle through all the colors as the count variable counts up on line 11. As mentioned before, when count reaches 360, 720, 1080 degrees and so forth, it cycles back to red on the color wheel. So have a close look, red at 0 and then again at 360. Color isn't the only thing we want to change. We also want the arm to move. Just like we used the count variable to represent color, we'll use it to represent the y-coordinate of our arm's elbow position. On line 4, the sine of pi divided by 180 times the count will give us values between -1 and 1. On line 5 we multiply this tiny number by 100, because we won't see the animation if it only moves 1 pixel up or down. The benefit of using sine is that we get a nice smooth transition from up to down and up again. You can see the tip of the elbow slowing down before coming to a standstill and going the other way. What happens if we add more lines with more elbows and cycle through more colors? We see something a bit more interesting, of course. Here you see the doodle which inspired this video in the first place. Well, there you have it. Code doodling is just something I like to do. You know, sometimes just whipping one up for the kids. They love it and they say stuff like, "Daddy, make it do rainbow colors and make it bounce," etc. I suppose it's also a great introduction to coding, what with all the visual feedback. Regardless, it feels like I'm back in the 90s and part of the demo scene again. Find some more code doodles online. Here's a nice collection I found, codedoodle.es. I'll just load it up for you. This one, number 35, uses the WebGL context we talked about before. As you can see, there are a bunch of things you can do with HTML Canvas. You can make it react to input and other data, and you'll only be limited by your imagination. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jean, and this is Fun with Code.